Stress isn't just wearing you out, it's destroying your digestion by punching holes inside of your gut and setting the stage for things like chronic bloat, IBS, and even autoimmune diseases, potentially Crohn's, colitis, or something worse. But you can fix it. Now, I've helped clients who've had up to 50 bowel movements a day, and some who are so constipated they had one bowel movement every 2 to 3 weeks, and they got better with the steps that I'm going to be showing you in this video. And by the time that you're done watching this, you're going to understand why stress is so harmful for your gut. And of course, a simple 3-step process that you can take to begin healing your gut naturally. And stick around to the end because I'm also going to show you my supplement recommendations to help you heal your gut faster. My name's Josh Deck. I'm a holistic nutritionist, gut specialist, and physician's consultant for digestive diseases. And if you want regular videos on healing your gut naturally, make sure you click that subscribe button right now before you forget. My motto is this: in order to fix something, you need to understand it. So before we go into the solutions, I'm going to show you the 3 biggest things that stress is doing to harm your gut right now. Now, the first thing that's happening is slowed motility and decreased digestion. You have to understand that your digestive system that comes from the mouth into the stomach, that goes through your small intestine, up and out the large before it comes out as poop, it's an assembly line. And everything actually operates in a timely manner. And if one thing is wrong at the beginning or the middle of the assembly line, everything at the back end is going to be wrong too. So if you're dealing with constipation, diarrhea, gas, bloat, pain, cramping, nausea, vomiting, acid reflux, that means there's a hitch somewhere in the assembly line. And stress, it slows this timing down. Imagine if Henry Ford at the Ford Motor Company had 50 people on an assembly line and 6 of them just weren't doing their jobs properly. Everything would start to pile up and make a mess. And what we see here in your assembly line is when food gets chewed, it enters into the stomach where it gets digested by hydrochloric acid or stomach acid. It moves to the small intestine where digestive juices are then added, digestive enzymes, and even you start to get bile from the gallbladder injected in there as well to help break down some fats. But if there are problems with high levels of stress, your digestive enzymes, your bile flow, even the saliva you produce and the stomach acid you have are at a lower level, so you're not properly breaking down your food. On top of that, the timing of the assembly line is either too fast or too slow, so everything gets screwed up. And of course, this can lead to nutrient deficiencies, which create depression, anxiety. They can lead to all kinds of inflammatory processes. It's hard on your immune system, and it just really feels like trash all the time. The next thing we see is hyperfermentation. What does this mean? Well, we know that food travels through the assembly line of your stomach to the small intestine and out through the large bowel. But you have GI microbes, so these are going to be bacteria, fungus, yeast, all kinds of stuff living throughout your entire GI tract. But when food gets stalled in that assembly line, it can actually spend too much time in one area, say the small intestine, which leads to hyperfermentation, leading to excess gas. It can make fatty acids rancid. It can lead to yellow, floaty, oily, greasy stool, really smelly gas, and a lot of pain and bloat when you're having hyperfermentation. It can also contribute to excess bacterial overgrowth, which can also be a condition we call SIBO. That stands for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. We also see something called SIFO, which is small intestinal fungal overgrowth. So conditions like candidiasis, which is candida overgrowth, can also contribute to the problem. What ends up happening here when we have too much bacteria overgrowing is accumulation of toxins. And what happens when you have all these toxins building up from all these excess bacteria, they end up leaking through your gut, because they get through your gut lining, and they get into your bloodstream. And where does your bloodstream go? Well, everywhere throughout the entire body. So you carry these toxins to your brain, can lead to depression, anxiety, ADHD type symptoms, even early onset Alzheimer's in the grand scheme of things. You can end up with asthma, psoriasis, eczema, joint pain, whatever else might be happening because there's toxins circulating through your entire body and they accumulate and you become inflamed and just overall start to break down and feel even worse. The next thing we see happening is chronic inflammation and a decreased integrity of your gut lining. We also call this leaky gut. Now, I want to explain what leaky gut is for a minute here. When we're highly stressed, we produce excess stress hormones, particularly one called cortisol. Now, cortisol actually gets a bad rap. It's a really healthy, beneficial hormone. It helps you wake up and move in the morning. It's anti-inflammatory. But when you're chronically stressed, producing excess levels of cortisol, it becomes inflammatory. It starts to wear down on the protective layers of your gut lining. Think of it like wearing a pair of shoes. and you have socks inside that shoe. But once you take that sock off, your heel starts to wear and it gets red till it blisters and even bleeds. When you have excess cortisol, the lining of your gut starts to wear down. So as you have bacteria and microbes floating through, you have digestive enzymes and pieces of food passing through, it actually inflames this area on the gut lining because you lack that mucosal membrane layer, that protective layer, or the sock in the shoe. This leads to leaky gut. Now, leaky gut is a process where you have all these intestinal cells. They're held together. If you think of them kind of like squares on an Afghan or a quilt, and they're all stitched together, imagine that stitching starts to let go. These are called gap junctions. When those gap junctions let go, we end up with leaks in between the cells instead. Now, keeping in mind it's one cell between your small bowel and your large bowel has two cells between them and your blood or your lymphatic system. So toxins can very easily leak out. Now, normally when you eat food, it passes through, kind of like border security. They get a check mark, your body says, yep, you're good. Go ahead and travel through my blood, you delicious piece of chicken, and go where you need to go. The problem is when you have high levels of stress, high levels of cortisol, it breaks down these gap junctions. And so food, instead of going through border security and getting checked with a pass, it just goes through all willy-nilly, whatever it wants to do. So you get these big pieces of food or inflammatory molecules or whatever it might be that get into your blood and they circulate. And your body says, wait a minute, you shouldn't be here. You're a bad thing, or I don't know what to do with you. You're a huge piece of chicken. And suddenly you have a food sensitivity to chicken that you never had before because it started with leaky gut. Because it didn't get through, and so this big piece of food got into your blood, your body went, wait a minute, the immune system triggered, and it set a big red flag here and said, next time this piece of food comes in, we got to talk about that. We got to attack that. We have to protect against that. And that's essentially leaky gut. So high stress increases high levels of cortisol. It decreases digestive enzymes and all these good things that we typically need, breaks down your protective layers, leads to leaky gut, increases pathogens and toxins in your body and in your blood, and it actually impairs your immune system as well. Now, if you're watching this and you think, man, that sounds like me. I've got food sensitivities, I've got bloating, I think I might have bacterial overgrowth, I've got gas, diarrhea, constipation, drop a comment below and let me know what symptoms that you're experiencing and we'll see if we can help. Now, the next most important part of this conversation is the fix. There's a 3-step process that you can take to begin healing your gut from all the damage that stress has been doing. The first thing we're gonna do, it's the first of 3 R's, is reduce or even remove. Now, it's really impossible to live a life without stress unless you're a billionaire living on a beach somewhere, but even then, there can be stress like food and electricity and basic needs or loneliness or whatever you might be dealing with. Stress is a normal part of life, but we wanna reduce how our body is. But we want to reduce the extreme levels of responses that our bodies are creating to certain stressors. This can be done in a few different ways. Simple things like breath work. We can do what's called box breathing. And the reason they call it box breathing is you think about it, you take an inhale breath through the nose, count about 4 seconds, give or take. And then we're going to hold that for 4 seconds. And then we're going to exhale, purse lips like you're breathing through a straw for about 4 seconds. And then you're gonna hold the exhale without breathing in for another 4. But there's a trick to this. If this makes you anxious, you breathe in, and your lungs are full of air, and then you hold it way too long, maybe 4 seconds is tough for you, and then you exhale till there's no air left, and then you're waiting, now you're stressing. That's not a way to go about this. It is a nice gentle inhale. Maybe for you, this looks like 6, 2, 3, and 2 for now. But the idea is we're controlling the breath. Until you feel the need to breathe, it's a normal inhale, pause, calm exhale, pause, I should breathe, okay. And we breathe in again, not to stress you out. There's also vagal toning, and you can do this through humming, through gargling, through singing, but the difference in humming, there's humming up here where it's way in your head, where you can feel your face vibrating and it feels kind of awkward, or there's the hum where it's way down. Think like hippie yoga ohms. And what we're doing is actually vibrating way down in your throat and in your chest. That vibration actually stimulates the vagus nerve. It's a big cranial nerve, comes from the brain down the left side of your neck. It innervates into your entire digestive system, your heart, your lungs, spreads out like a horse's tail. And this toning, this humming or gargling or breathing can actually create better tone in this nerve, helping you decrease your stress. You can also do simple acts like earthing, and that's being barefoot in the grass. 15 minutes a day. And what happens if you look at your blood under a microscope when you're earthing is if you're not, you can see all your blood cells sort of aggregated, kind of like static cling. If you rub a balloon on the carpet, then your hair, they're all sort of stuck together. When you go out to the earth, you barefoot on the grass or in the sand in the ocean, when you come back in and look at your blood again, they're evenly spaced out now. They're not clung together, which leaves more room for oxygenation. It's better for your immune system, moods, energy, the works. Simple techniques. I'm also wearing, this is called an Apollo Neuro, and you can get a link for that down below this video. It's actually built-in vibrations to help regulate and calibrate your nervous system. And I love this. I use it for sleep, focus, for working out. I even used it while I was writing down the scripting and the concept for this video, and it helps me dial in. The next thing we want to do, of course, is to remove other accumulated toxins. We talked about all the bacteria that grew and developed inside of your digestive system. This is your gut now. All these bacteria produce toxins that circulate around your blood. We want to remove those. And this can be done by simple drainage. It can be done using simple liver supports like NAC, TUDCA, milk thistle, glutathione, whatever you're using. We can also do this through sweating, lymphatic drainage, and other supplementation, as well as good hydration and electrolytes can help remove those accumulated toxins from your body. The next part of removing or reducing is these bacterial overgrowths that commonly accumulate when we're dealing with excess stress due to hyperfermentation, motility issues, etc. And this can be done very simply with very low doses and titrating up to where you're comfortable for short bursts, maybe 2 to 3 weeks at a time and 1 to 2 weeks off. Things like oregano oil, ginger, thyme, garlic, and clove are all really nice anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, and they can actually really help with the immune system and get your body to balance back out. The second thing we're going to do to fix, we just went through remove. Now we are going into restore. Well, what does that mean? We know that stress has broken down your gut lining and stress has created dysbiosis or bacterial overgrowth. It's also decreased your digestive enzyme production, stomach acid, the works. So by restoring, we're rebuilding back these things that have been taken away. So the first thing we can work on is simple additions of things like digestive enzymes or even HCl, often called betaine HCl. Digestive enzymes are made in the pancreas. Your body gets them from the small intestine to break down your food. But simply taking a nice, easy digestive enzyme, a simple one, not 40 ingredients, very simple, 3 ingredients, protease, lipase, and amylase, can really help digestion along with HCl. That's a factory-made stomach acid replacement, which your body needs to regulate itself. And we actually can use it to decrease acid reflux. One of the most common causes of acid reflux is too little acid. And by adding these things in, we can actually increase our digestibility of our food, increasing nutrient absorption. And we also talked about things in the last one, but removing, something we can add in as an herb is actually something like ginger. This is not only good for inflammation and digestion and helping reduce bloat, but it's also called a prokinetic, which can help stimulate digestion and get things moving a bit more easily. Spearmint or peppermint can help with that as well and help balance out that assembly line in its speed. Now, the third step in the healing process from stress is going to be repair. Now that we've removed and reduced the stressors, the toxins, the excess bacteria, we've restored digestive enzymes, motility, and stomach acid, now we're going to repair. We're going to repair your gut lining and your microbiome, things that have been damaged. This can be done pretty simply with things like probiotics, or even probiotic-based foods, ferments, if you tolerate them really well. That's going to be things like yogurt, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, even cured meats, fermented foods of any kind. These can be all probiotic-based foods. You can also take supplements, or in some cases, spore-based probiotics, which don't just go into the digestive system and get burnt up or they're more transient, but spore-based are kind of like seeds that plant a tree that grow fruit. They make it typically to the large intestine where they can live there, where about 90% of your gut bacteria live anyway, is right where the large intestine connects to the small. So we can actually work on seeding that. We also want to work on repairing your body, of course, through a clean diet, right? That Chick-fil-A and binge drinking, it's jacking up your body. Stop doing those things, start doing these things instead. We just have to make sure we're giving our body food it knows how to digest. And then when it comes to repairing our gut lining, now this can be done again, clean diet, probiotics help with the gut lining. There are supplements like tributyrin that we can get, also known as butyrate, but tributyrin is the available form. Really, really nice supplement. We can use things like slippery elm, aloe, DGL, marshmallow root, even things like bone broth to help repair and rebuild that gut lining. But this is what we have to look at. Ultimately, there are three main things that are breaking down your body under stress. It's slow motility and decreased digestive capacity. We have hyperfermentation, which leads to excess overgrowth and toxic accumulation. And the third is inflammation and destruction of your gut lining. So in order to repair it, the fix is going to be remove the toxins or reduce the stressors, remove the accumulated junk in the body and kill off the excess bacterial overgrowth. That's part of reduce and remove. The second is to restore digestive enzymes, digestive function, and motility. The third, of course, is going to be repairing the gut lining and the microbiome that's been damaged. Now, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like and subscribe because it really does help others find this content and it allows us to spend more time making content like this just for you. And of course, you'll also get access to my weekly updates on gut health videos, repairing everything from IBS to acid reflux to Crohn's, colitis, and everything in between. Thanks so much for watching. I hope we'll see you guys next time.